Prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.
Accelerated Graphics and Signs, 101 East Renfro, Suite C in Burleson, Texas, can handle all of your graphic needs. Need a banner or promotional products for your business? They got you covered. T-shirts and caps for your group. All you need to figure out is if you want them screen printed or embroidered. How about some slick graphics on that hot ride to make you stand out from the crowd? Accelerated Graphics and Signs can handle anything you throw at them. Located at 101 East Renfro Street, Suite C in Burleson, Texas, go in and see them. Call them at 817-991-0523 or reach them on the web at www.acceleratedgraphics.net. They are loud and proud and want to serve you. Accelerated Graphics.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Out of deck carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleburne, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleburne, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they've got you covered.
The voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio. Welcome to the Her Show, Home Experience Radio, with your host, Trina Titus Lozano. This is a live call-in show that takes your calls and questions about marriage, family, and personal relationships. She's a licensed and ordained pastoral counselor, author, international conference speaker, wife, mom, and grandmother. She's been counseling and teaching vital relationship skills for over 30 years. Trina is real and relational and reveals strong truths spoken in tough love and common sense. Join us on the studio line now at 817-637-2585. And now, here's Trina.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Her Show. I am Trina, pastoral counselor, licensed and ordained Christian minister. And I'm here with you every Monday on Joco Community Radio from 2 to 3 Texas time. And today is a very special day. This was a week like I could have never imagined, but this was the week that my mom went to be with Jesus. She died on Wednesday, and so I was here last Monday, and then she died on Wednesday, and here I am here this Monday, and I couldn't miss the opportunity to just celebrate her life and to give a tribute to her. And I thought, just to expand the tribute a little bit, but just to mother daughter relationships. My mom used to say the mother daughter relationship is the most incredibly, wonderfully fulfilling, complicated, difficult, uh, uh, what else did she say? Tangled and blessed relationship among women. And it was just so funny. She had all of these adjectives that seemed to be, the just represent the complexity sometimes of a mother-daughter relationship. But I am my mom's only daughter, and I'm just so proud to be her daughter. And I was just thinking about this morning how proud I am of her. She ended her life so well. And as I was reflecting over the last few days and writing her obituary and just really reflecting over all of the pictures of her life. And then hindsight's 2020. So we had no idea that our Christmas Eve with our whole family would be our last time together as a family. And she died 4 days later. And then we had Christmas Day at her house. And I brought the Christmas dinner meal, the traditional meal that my mom created this menu back when I was a young child. So well over 50 years ago. And she would do ham and cherry sauce, this delicious cherry sauce she would make for the ham, and twice baked potatoes, and homemade cinnamon rolls, and vegetables and salad and those types of things, and of course pies for dessert. And so I made the menu that she loved, and of course I was wanting to eat it too, because it's what my mouth is ready to partake in when it comes time for Christmas Day. So took that over to her new home, which is an apartment that her and my dad had only lived in for 10 days. Well, it wasn't quite 10 days at that point. It was even less than that, but it was 10 days total by the time that she died on Wednesday. But I brought this Christmas dinner, and it was just a small group, only 6 of us on Christmas Day at their home, and as it turned out, that would be our last meal together at that table, and it was super special. So I was just reflecting about how proud I was that my mom, every day, she got up, dressed up, and showed up. She has been very sick for the past couple of years. 4 years ago, actually more than that now, 4.5 years ago is when she began her journey with endometrial cancer and then had surgery. And once she had the hysterectomy, she was doing radiation and seemed to be pretty well for a couple of years. But then this last 2 years, it has been a very difficult battle for her. And of course, ultimately, the cancer was throughout her body, and it was time for her to transition to her heavenly home. And my dad and I just said, even amongst the tears and the grief, we're just so grateful. We're just so grateful because she died so well over the past 2 years. She just continued to serve the Lord. She continued to serve our family. She continued to come to events. She continued to travel and to preach. And anything that she wanted to do in her life, she just didn't want to stay home and stay in bed. And so she would literally drag herself around, which nobody could tell that that's what was happening. It was her sheer willpower that she just would, like I said, get up, dress up, and show up. And some days were harder for her to get up, and some days it took her longer to put on her makeup. But every single day she did it, even till the end of her life. And the very last morning on Wednesday, they had a real difficult night the night before, and that very last morning, my dad called early in the morning, about 8:30, not too early, and said, we had a tough night, maybe you and grandma need to come over and just be with mom and I this morning. So we went over, and mom was asleep and dad was working, and then mom woke up in a little bit, and she just said, I'm really having a hard time waking up. I just said, "Oh, mom, it's okay. You don't have to wake up. You can just relax. In fact, I'll bring you breakfast in bed." She said, "No, I'm trying to get up." She said, "But I think this medication is making me too sleepy." I said, "It probably is. So I'll just bring you breakfast in bed." And so I brought her breakfast in bed. She ate breakfast and was sitting up. And so I just said, "You just relax. I'm going to put your makeup on, So you can just relax and you don't have to feel like you've got to hurry to get up and get ready today. So I put her makeup on, and you know what? It was just a few hours later that she took her last breath here on earth. And as my grandson says, your breath just turns to spirit and you go right on living. And that's exactly what happened. Her breath here on earth turned to her spirit, and her spirit left her body, and she went right on living. And so we were rejoicing, so grateful that my dad and my grandma and I were there with her at home, and she was able to just be so peaceful, and she was not miserable at all, but she was just peaceful, and it was just time. And so we're so grateful for that. So I want to honor my mom, Devi Titus, today, and just talk about the beauty of the mother daughter relationship, not only now, but it will continue, because even after she's died, it is really her legacy that I have the privilege of carrying and then passing down to my daughters and to my granddaughters. And it just continues generation after generation. And that's the way that it's supposed to be. Now, if you know me very well, you know that my grandmother, Alita Walker, lives with me, lives in our home. And so this has been an interesting season, or just week, few days for us, because we never expected that my mom would enter her heavenly home before my grandma. My grandma will be 100 this year, and it just never occurred to her or myself that that would happen. But we're here and we're going through this journey together. And as my grandma says, you have to accept facts. It's true. And she said that as she was writing in the record books that she has of our genealogy. She was writing in the last day of my mom's life, and it's just very surreal. I think my dad and grandma and I are still in shock, and it just seems very surreal. But we're so grateful for her life, so grateful for um, the honor and privilege to be family. And it reminds me of a scripture in Proverbs that says that your children will rise up and call you blessed. And I do. My brother and I, we just rise up and we just say we are so blessed, and we call my mom blessed, and my mom was blessed by her mom, who was a blessing, and her grandmother, who was a blessing, and her great grandmother, who was a blessing. So we just want to continue this tradition and this pattern and this legacy, generation after generation of blessing. We are blessed to be a blessing. So we want to pass that on. And yes, grief is grief. Excuse me. And so you'll have like waves of emotion, but it's great. It's great to have the waves of emotion and to just know that we have no regrets. And that's the main thing. And I do want to honor her today, and I will be sharing her obituary later, and just make an announcement that we will be honoring her life. Excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat, at a memorial service here at the King's University in Southlake, Texas, at 1 o'clock on Saturday. So it'll be a beautiful celebration, and just looking forward to that. You know, what a life well lived. There is nothing greater than to observe my mom living her life so well and finishing her life so well. And I'm just so grateful. And I want to be like that, right? And that's what I think we need to all look at, is say, that's what I want to do. That isn't this what it's all about, is to run the race and to do it in such a way that at the end of the race there's a prize. Thing about it is we never know when the end is. My grandma always says you never know what a day will hold. Well, that day on Wednesday, we certainly did not know that my mom would die that morning. We had no idea. She didn't have any idea. We knew that it would be sometime this month, probably maybe a few months, but we knew the time was coming soon. We knew it would for sure be our last Christmas together, and but we were surprised that it was Wednesday morning. We just didn't quite expect that, but feel so relieved and so happy that she's not suffering and she's not in pain anymore. And as we celebrate her life, we just want to celebrate everything that she was. And she truly was a wise woman. One of her great favorite scriptures was, a wise woman builds her home, but a foolish woman tears it down with her own hands. Well, my mom, she was a wise woman and she built her home. And so she's left a legacy with us. To build our home and to continue to build our home and to be homemakers and to love it, to love creating an atmosphere of love and peace, to invest in our home, to invest in the atmosphere, to invest our time, our energy, our efforts into making a home a home. And when my mom was addressing our family on Christmas Eve, she just encouraged everyone to make every day special. And isn't it worth it? Isn't it worth the effort and the work to make every day special? I say it is. Why? Because people are special, because my family's special. So it is worth it. It is so much work for sure. Sometimes it feels like it's kind of thankless, right? But really it's so worth it to me because it is an investment that will always have a return. When we invest in the relationships that are around our table, when we invest in our home, there will always be such a great return. So my mom certainly is an example of that. And when she wrote the home experience book, the second edition came out 7 years ago, she and I did that together. And it was just such a privilege for us to work on these projects together. For 7 years, my mom and I worked together hand in hand, doing the projects of the home experience book and the home mentoring intensives, and even traveling around the world together. And it was a beautiful season of life. So it was just great to do that. And I will continue to honor her throughout the show, but I have a friend that's going to help me do that here a little bit. Hey, Victoria.
Hey, Trina, can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
I'm so thrilled to be here.
Well, we are just talking about my mom and just the legacy that she left. And you got to spend a lot of time with her before she died, because you guys were working on her very last project, was to sell her home and to buy another home and to get my dad all settled, as she would say, before she died. And so that was really, I think, a special thing.
Oh, I was so honored, and I'm such a fan of her, so I can't wait to get to talk about her a little bit.
Well, you go, girl. Let's hear it.
Well, here's the thing about Devi Titus. She was my mentor. I loved her dearly. I met her about 12 years ago when she was speaking at an event of a bunch of authors and speakers, which I was one of them. And I was so impressed with her right away. And we became friends. And what's so funny is, as we were becoming friends, she's like, "Oh my goodness, you have got to meet my daughter. You guys are going to be best friends."
And
she had me meet you, and she was so right. You and I have been best buddies for well over a decade, thanks to her. And I'm so thrilled she put you in my life. And I'm also thrilled for all that Devi did for me. She also, I'm in the real estate business besides being an author. And I mean, she has sent me clients nonstop and just raved about me to others, which she never had to do. That's the one thing about Devi, is Devi was all about, what can I do for you? How can I serve you? And you never had to ask. She just lived every day to, Lord, how can I bless somebody else? How can I equip somebody else? And never ask for anything in return. And that's such a rare person that existed, and what a legacy she left.
So true. Yeah, she really gave us a gift of each other, didn't we? Didn't she?
She really did.
We've
and here's
enjoyed
another
that.
thing. I don't know what you talked about before you plugged me in on the show, but I'm sure you raved about so many things.
Not really.
Yes,
I'm
she
just
was
getting started.
all about telling everybody about the heart and the home, and doing all that. And she equipped people around the world and did so many other things. How I knew her, besides being fully aware of all her books and all her ministries and loving that, was I knew her as a friend who just wanted to speak into our lives too. And I mean, I always want to live my life that way. If I could follow her example, and certainly you've done a great job at following her example. And Trina, you're such a legacy of your mom, and you're constantly, how can I make somebody's life better? How can I minister to them? You're just following in her legacy. And I love that.
Yes. And it is a servant's attitude. And my mom certainly had that. And Victoria, to just paint a picture for the listeners who never had the privilege of knowing my mom is how do you describe her? She was just a presence of elegance and charm and beauty. And she just carried herself with this glamour. And she just was she was 5'8" and just had this dynamic personality. And so you would think that, being this sort of fashionista that she was, that she wouldn't be such a servant. But once you got to know her, you're like, wow, she doesn't have an attitude that oftentimes accompanies people who look like that.
Yes, but she never put an air of being snobbish or not approachable. Yes, she was always fancy, as you and I always say. She was always fancy and excellent and gorgeous and so put forward excellence. And I mean, I'm just comfortable in my own skin. So I wish I was more fancy than I do when I have to be.
Yeah, you and I aren't fancy.
She never made me feel not fancy around her. She never thought like, let's go dress better. She never treated me like that.
Right. She it's just who she was. She loved being fancy, but she certainly didn't force it on everyone else. But she just was so comfortable with everybody. It didn't matter if it was a person who was homeless or a person who was struggling or a person who themselves was very accomplished. You know, she could be having a tea party with the first lady or with someone who had just come out of prison. It just didn't matter. My mom was confident in her own skin too, right? So she was the same no matter who she was with, which I thought was kind of a neat thing. And one thing that I think was really special about my mom, especially in the world that we live in today, and we can look at what has gone on in just women's culture since the 60s. My mom is 75 now, and since the 60s, she was there at the height of feminism, and she is such a leader. But she had this twist on it where it was there she was not a feminist because she didn't have that rebellion towards men, but she had this passion about women, and she was just such a leader. I mean, a leader of leaders. And even, you know, people talk about woman power, but yet my mom had all of this leadership and all this excellence about her, but she had a gentle and quiet spirit simultaneously.
But also, she was a lover of men. She loved her husband.
She
loved his role in her life.
Yes.
And it's everything you're saying is she wanted women to be all we could be and fully be all God created us to be, and have us not be male bashers. You know
Exactly.
I mean?
That's
That's
right.
why she
That's
wasn't a
right.
feminist.
That's right. She loved honoring my dad, and she did it so well. And she loved submitting herself to him. And she could trust him because he just released her so well to be the leader that she was. And yes, and I was reading some of her favorite scriptures, and one that came to my mind is Proverbs 31:30. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And it's interesting because some people don't really take a look at that scripture and make it be a part of their life the way that my mom did. What my mom did is she took the scripture and she focused on being a woman who feared the Lord. And so every decision that she made in her life, including her decisions to be charming and to be beautiful and to be glamorous, but yet there was no vanity because she had this passion and this desire and this fear of the Lord, honestly, to just honor the Bible, to honor the word. And because of her fear of the Lord, you know, there was no vanity in her beauty.
And here's another thing. I know we're going all over the board, but Devi was many things, just so many people.
I know, right?
What I loved about her is she was a mentor of mentors, just so many of us. She would perceive people out there that God had a big calling on their life, and she would speak into that and train that and build them up, never threatened by anybody. And some major Christian leaders across the world would be drawn to her, and she would mentor them, and they just were in awe of her. And all of us middle level or other leader levels she would mentor us the same she would mentor a superstar, and the same way she would mentor someone who didn't know what their calling was yet. She would meet somebody, feel God's calling on their life, and speak into that. And it just challenged us to do the same thing. Everything about your mom, it may sound like we're just talking about one woman here today, but everything about her was to challenge us to be all God created us to be. So her legacy goes on so far reaching and on, even though she's gone to heaven.
Well, that's a good point, because it was never all about her. It was always about you. which is the point that you made early. It was
Yes.
always about you and what she could do to make your life better and what she could do to make you the best version of yourself. And also to speak into how, of course, always wanting to help people improve and challenging people that way. But she was a teacher that way. So, but even in her book, there was and in all of her books, such a focus on mentoring. And so that, like you
Yes.
said, because she didn't just want for people to think, "Oh, wow, she's amazing." She wanted you to know how amazing you are. And
well, here's another thing that I loved about it, and interrupt me anytime I'm speaking too long. But her book, The Mentoring Man, well, I mean,
the home experience, yeah.
Thank you. Home experience. We did the mentoring mansion out of that. But
That's
she
right.
was telling me about how she had no ego on it. Like we all would read that book and loved it and incorporated it into our lives. But before she was traveling the world with it, people got a hold of that book in other countries and would start teaching that book in other countries.
That's right.
And she was thrilled that somebody would take her material
Oh, yeah.
and start teaching other people. She didn't have to be there present
That's
to
right.
teach them. It didn't bother her that somebody else would take it and start teaching it. She just wanted that material out there. Does that make sense?
You know what? I just actually had somebody ask me this week, and she is an A-list top-notch speaker, and I'm not gonna say who she is because I'm gonna wait and she can surprise everybody whenever she comes out with it. But she said this week, "I'll never forget when I heard the also principle from your mom for the first time." And for those who don't know what the also principle is, my mom takes some scripture and she reminds us that no matter what we do, to add the also. In other words, to do the extra. If you,
Yeah.
if you offer a man a drink, offer to water his camels also, right? If you go to work, go to work early also. If you fold your laundry, put it away also. If you're doing the dishes, dry them and put them away also. It was just like whatever you do, follow through till you're even doing a little bit more. She called that the also
Yes.
principle. And so, yeah, don't just fix dinner, but set the table also. And so, anyway, so this is the also principle. And so this top-notch speaker, she just said, "Is it okay if I teach the also principle?" And I said, "Girl, yes, teach it. Teach it now, teach it later, teach it online, teach it everywhere you go. Teach it, do whatever you want with it. But yes, spread the word and whatever message of my mom's that captured your heart, go for it. Go with it." And that really was my mom's heart, was to just spread the word like wildfire, really, so that it would just really ignite the world with the messages that she had.
Yes, and I got to listen again today to her very last sermon that she gave back in October before she got too ill to continue on. And I mean, she didn't hold back at all. She was talking about the home experience and the table, which was her passion message about how important it is that the family comes to the table and eats a meal. And she wants you to do it 5 days a week, face to face across the table. She was bold all the way to the end where she was saying that she wouldn't sugarcoat anything. She talked about God's heart and she would challenge us all the way to the end.
I know. It was I listened to that too. And she was struggling to breathe. You could tell. She was struggling to breathe. Her energy wasn't what it used to be when she would preach that message. But she did it and she did not even cough. Like, it was amazing. And she, because of the chemo, she had a really dry mouth and she'd been really struggling. But it was just awesome that she pushed through and did that so that we could even have the privilege. But yeah, she was bold. My goodness, just bold, right?
And she challenged us. There's no excuses. She says, we don't have any time to lose. She was heartbroken that the home is falling apart even today. And she was talking about the history of it. And she was talking about God's word doesn't change and begging us to get back to the table with our family. And I mean, it challenged me again. And I'm an empty nester. I'm gonna make sure that my husband and I are face to face at dinner time again at the table. I needed to hear it again.
You know what? You did. That's right. It's good for everybody and it's timeless. Like she said, it's a timeless message that is also cross-cultural. Anywhere in the world, the message is the same because we've got to have those closer relationships, and it only works when you're eye to eye, face to face. And that might even be the only time in a day that a family is committed to put their phone away and to just talk about their day. She keeps it real practical. Just what were your highs and lows today? How was your day? And just to connect. And I just love that she did that. And we did talk about. Now, we didn't say that mom practiced what she preached. We said that she preached what she practiced.
I love that.
Yes, because this is the way that
true.
I grew up, and she continually did that all the way up till the very end of her life. She always got out of bed and came to the table to eat a meal. And her very last meal that morning, I said, Mom, I'm just going to serve you breakfast in bed. But you know what? We were still eye to eye, face to face. And what a privilege to be there and serve her last meal to be breakfast in bed. But anyway, Victoria, thank you for joining me on air today to just share a few things that you loved about my mom. I really appreciate that and look forward to seeing you, of course, at her memorial service on Saturday. And just thank you for serving her to help her get resettled and get my dad resettled and all the things. You were a real blessing. So I love you so much. I'm so grateful that she introduced me to my best friend.
Thank you. Love you too. I will talk to you soon. Thank
okay.
You.
Bye-bye. What a privilege to just celebrate my mom today. And I'll be back right after the break. So stick with me and we will continue the program honoring my mom, Devi Titus. Trina, be right back.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Welcome back to Joco Community Radio. We are proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and live 24/7 on the TuneIn Radio Network. TuneInJoco.com is the place to find all the ways to listen and watch, and the station app is also available for free on Android and Apple devices. So simply search your store, check out our lineup and more at JocoCommunityRadio.com. This episode and more brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. So reach out to your Texas sales rep, 844-TEX-HAIL. That's 844-839-4245. And be sure to call her today. She will be there to help you. 844-839-4245. And that's Nona Reed. So, all right, guys, let's continue the conversation about my mom, Devi Titus. And I have a caller on the line. Ariella, are you there? Hey, girl, you there? Hi, Ariella.
Hi, Trina. How are you?
Good. So how's it going today?
It's going well. It's been a good day.
Are you still in shock like I am that my mom's just not with us anymore?
Yes.
It's hard to believe.
I am still in shock. I know.
It is still hard to believe. It really is. We knew that she was declining, but we didn't know it was going to be that fast, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And then she was just so vivid that it's hard to just even picture the fact that she's no longer among us.
I know. Yes. Yes. Tell my listeners your story because I love the story of how you and my mom met. I just think it's a fun story.
Absolutely. It will be my pleasure. So, my name is Ariela, and I am originally from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. Your mom and I had friends in common, and sometimes she would come to my country, for conferences to speak, and I would see her every once in a while, but we were not that close. However, when they started coming, when I say they, I mean Larry and Devi, when they started coming to Rio de Janeiro more often, they would usually stay as guests at the hotel that I worked at.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
So cool.
So we began developing a relationship. And long story short, one day she went to my local church, and you know how your mom was. She looked at me and she said, "I want to take you home." I thought she was just kidding. I thought it was a joke. But then, Trina, about, let's say, almost 6 months later, every time I would go into my devotional time in prayer, I felt like I was supposed to write to her. And I was like, God, I'm not doing this. This makes no sense. This was 6 months ago. What am I even supposed to say? But I do remember that we emailed her, and I just said, Devi, every time I pray, I feel like I'm supposed to tell you that if you ever need me for anything, just let me know. And that's how the adventure began, because little did I know that at Christ for the Nations, for example, there were so many Brazilian students.
Yeah.
So I really believe it was a God appointed situation, because she said, I definitely need somebody who could spend 3 months with me and who could speak both Portuguese and English to just, help me out with a few projects. And I was like, that would be wonderful, because for me, it was just a vacation period, that I would get to spend with them in their house. So I would always tell her, and I would say, Debbie, it is so amazing. I had my own home experience.
Yeah, a real one. The one-on-one
for 3
home
months.
experience.
And then after,
Yeah,
sorry.
for sure.
And then after that, Trina, that's how the Lord then sent me to Quest for the Nations and to debut. And look at it. I have been here for 7 years now. And that's how it all started.
7 years. So at the same
7 years.
time, I will tell you about my story of the past 7 years. So 7 years ago, on February 2nd, February 7th, February 7th, 2016. The Lord awakened me in the night, and I was praying, and the voice was very clear to me. And he said, I would like you to go to Brazil with your mom. And I had not been interested in doing that because my life and my job and my family is so all consuming here that I wasn't wanting to take the time off here. And also, I'm such a talker that it's not ever been my favorite thing to go to a country that is not an English speaking country, because I prefer to talk to people versus everyone else talking and I don't know what they're saying, right? And so since I don't speak Portuguese, I was really not as interested in going. But the Lord awakened me, and when I was having this encounter with God, his voice was very clear to me. He said, go to Brazil with your mom. And then this is a very interesting thing that he said. He said, for this next season, I want you to do everything your mom tells you to do. And I'm taking you into a new season. And I was just like, wow, okay. Well, that's such an odd thing. But okay. And so I mean, I already had a full-time job. Now, at this point, my children were grown, and so I was able to transition my time in a way. So anyway, so that next morning, after I'd had this encounter with God, my husband and I were going to the Gaylord to meet my parents and some other Brazilian leaders for a brunch. And so at that brunch, I told the Brazilian leaders, and my mom that I'd had this encounter with God, and that he told me that I needed to say yes to the invitation to go to Brazil, and that I would go. And also that he told me that I needed to serve my mom and to do whatever she told me to do in this next season of life. Okay, so at the time, he
Wow.
didn't tell me how long that season would last, okay? And I did not guess that it would be this long, right? But
Yeah.
it was quite a season of really serving my mom, doing a lot of major projects. So as soon as I told her that, of course, she was absolutely thrilled. She's like, "What? You're going to do anything I tell you to do, right?" And I was like, "Okay, settle down here. Let's not go crazy." But anyway, but she did. She had all kinds of things. She wanted me to help co-write the home experience book and to get
Yeah.
it printed in Portuguese and Spanish, and she wanted to for me to do intensives with her. And
Yeah.
little did I know at that time that I would be also helping her with 2 moves, big moves, and also a lot of trips to UT's Health Western for her cancer treatments. And I
Yeah.
even did several speaking engagements that she was unable to go to. I went in her place and substituted for her, which was a
Mhm.
blessing to many people, but and to myself, of
I
course.
remember.
Yes, but the thing is so much time was spent in taking her to treatments and, just helping her to recover from the treatment every time. And she did. She would continue to do the best that she could to live the best life that she could all the way till the end. She just determined, I'm not going to stay in bed, and I'm not going to, just because I'm not feeling good or because I'm in pain, I'm not going to miss out on important things. So she continued
Yeah.
to travel, continued to do all of the events that she wanted to do, and just did not want to take a sick day, right? She said, I'm not sick. I have
Right.
cancer, but I'm not sick. But she was in so much pain a lot of the time over the past couple of years. But I'm
Yes.
so grateful now that I was able to hear the voice of God, because now I really have no regrets, because it was a season of really doing a lot of
Absolutely.
work with her, and it was very good, very good.
And
So,
we appreciate that so much, Trina, because I myself was a witness of how much you did for your mom and how
mhm.
wholeheartedly you served her, especially in the last few years.
Yes,
And it
yes.
was delightful to watch that. I have several testimonies about Devi, but one that I will never forget, never, ever, ever, because she impacted my life in several ways. But when I first came to her house, I still remember that by the end of the first week, and I told her, I had just experienced the most peaceful week of my entire life.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that was her message. That
That
was
was
her
her message.
message.
That's right.
Peace,
That's right.
love,
Yeah, making a
that's where the
home,
heart is
making a
formed.
home that
And it was, hmm
has an atmosphere of love and peace. And she would always say, without peace, love is not believed. And so oftentimes
yeah,
in people's home, people will say, I love you. They will exchange the words, I love you, but there's no peace. So without
exactly.
peace, when there's conflict and fighting, and there's even bad language and arguing and quarreling, and there's just division and contention and all of this, there's no peace, then love isn't believed. And right, that is the atmosphere that she created in our home growing up, and then in her home, as my grandchildren were able to enjoy going to Mimi's house. And of course, that's the atmosphere that I create in my home as well. But that's the environment that you came into. And when people have not grown up in an environment of peace, it's just
hmm
so tremendously impacting to
It
experience what it's like to be in a home that has peace.
it is because the love that they showed was intentional, and the message that they were telling me through their actions was that I didn't need to do something in order to deserve love. It
That's
was
right.
almost like, as a daughter, you inherit this. So here it is, love and peace for you to live.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Ariella, I'm so proud of you. And now you're going to be having a baby
I
soon.
know,
And
baby boy.
we're donating a rocking chair right from my mom's bedroom.
Yeah.
That chair was in her bedroom. And so we saved it for you. And you're just going to make so many great memories with your little precious Isaac, who will be born soon. And my mom was very excited for you to become a mother. And boy, she believed in you, didn't she, Ariella? Oh, she believed in
Oh
you.
yes.
Yes.
Oh, she did believe in me. Yes. I can say like without a shadow of a doubt that I only overcame a lot of struggles in life and traumas as well because I would remember the people that believed in me, and that it was certainly one of the strongest, presence in my life that I could look up to and be like, no, she believes in me, so I'll make her proud.
Exactly, exactly. And she just carried such a standard of excellence, right, Ariella? I
Oh,
mean, we
she
just
did.
she wanted us, us to be as her daughters, me, her biological
Yes.
daughter, and you, her sort of adopted daughter. But oh boy, she really had a high standard of excellence for us, didn't she?
She did. She did. I have, if I still have like a minute,
Go. Oh no, you've
I
got
just
plenty of
wanted to
time.
share
You're good. You're
very
good.
a very funny story.
Go for it. You've
Okay.
got lots of time. You're
So
good.
I had just recently got to your mom's house, and I was there as a guest. So like you're just paying attention to everything that you do and you say, because like you're still a stranger, right?
Right.
So you just want to be polite. And anyhow, I had found out this hair treatment online that required the use of red onions and garlic. So your mom and dad took me to the grocery shop so that I could get onion and garlic. And you know how polite she was. And she was like, honey, are you going to use this on your hair?
Oh.
And I said, oh, yeah, no, it's fine. But, the smell won't stay, blah, blah. I went home, Trina. That was during one evening. So you had to kind of cook it, take the juice out of it, blend it into your
Oh,
shampoo,
that is
whatever, whatever.
funny.
Okay,
Oh
we
my
did that.
gosh.
On the next day, Trina, I'm talking desperation because the whole house smelled like onions and garlic.
Oh my gosh.
I wanted to die
My dad
because I
hates
made
garlic. Like, if people
Debbie
don't even
Titus
know,
home
my
smell like
dad
onions
and
and garlic.
they have onions. My dad literally hates garlic. That is so funny.
I know, but it was just so funny. We had to open up, every
The
window,
windows.
leave it all open. But I was desperate. Then, of course, we laughed about it.
Oh,
But on
that
that
is
day, oh
funny.
my goodness.
That is so funny. That is hilarious. I can't believe I've never
It
heard that
is.
story before. That is amazing. Well, the time has gone by so fast over the past 7 years. It's hard to
Yeah,
believe that it's been 7 years, but I do remember
exactly.
you coming to their home the very first time. And
Yes.
and as you witnessed, they moved now they're in their third place after that. So, it was a lot of they moved to their big mansion where we did a lot of intensives, and they downsized a little bit, and then now
Mhm.
they're in their
And a
forever
memory that I
home.
have, I still remember on the first day they picked me up at the airport, and we all had breakfast. I don't know if it was at IHOP or someplace,
IHOP,
but
yes, by the airport.
I do remember David talking about you. We were in the car, and she was telling me, Trina's gonna come here, come over. She's my daughter. She's a counselor, and I still remember she said she is the best in what she does. She
Aw.
just is the best. Uh huh. So, and I still
Aw.
remember that, so I have very vivid memories,
Yes, yes, that's right. Well, I'm glad that she was complimentary about me. She and my dad have always been very supportive of me and my choice to make counseling my profession, and they've been very supportive. And it's been great because just with their support, it makes all the difference in
It
any
is
person's
everything.
life to have somebody that is just supportive. And I'm so blessed because both my mom and dad were so supportive and continue to be so supportive. So I appreciate the compliment. And yes, I'll just go ahead and throw an ad out there right now. If any of my listeners need a counselor,
Absolutely.
I'd be happy to schedule sessions with you. That's firstlightcounseling.co. Firstlightcounseling.co. There you go. There's the ad. But I enjoy doing the work here in South Lake with my clients. And so I do have a few openings next year, and I would love to continue to work with people. But yes, my parents were so supportive of that career path for me. And of course, always, wanted to recommend me to people that or at least introduced me in a way that made them feel proud. But I always wanted to make them proud. I heard you say that that even now you decided, okay, I want to make decisions that are going to make her proud, and I think that that's going to stay with you as you
It is.
as
It will.
yeah as you adjust
It
to
will.
living without her. She'll still be in your ear.
Oh, you will. As a matter of fact, just this morning, I was about to have breakfast and I looked at the table and I was like, there's something missing. What am I doing? And I'm like, uh-oh. It's like she comes in a bubble, like in my thoughts. And I was like, the placemat. Go back and pick up the placemat. And I did.
Like, yeah, she's a bubble that pops up in your head. That's right. That's
Uh-huh.
funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
I
Forever.
I'm that will forever be the case for sure. And we'll always have that bubble that pops up in our head. And it'll be a good bubble that has good advice and wisdom.
Yes.
And she certainly was a great example. So
Definitely.
if our life has even a fraction of the impact on the world that her life has had, oh, that would be wonderful, right? Just a fraction.
Definitely.
She's
Oh
just
my God.
made such an
Yes.
impact on the world, such an impact on the world. Well, we love having you here, Ariella, and we certainly love that you have made really Dallas your home at this point. I mean, you've
It
been here for
has.
7 years,
Definitely.
and DBU has, my goodness, they've given you quite an education.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, before we hang up, just tell people what you have accomplished educationally since you've been here.
Absolutely. So I first came to Christ for the Nations under your parents' influence. That's how it all started. And I did a major in worship and then marketplace. And then the Lord continued to open doors. And I transitioned to DBU. I got the bachelor's degree in political science and then a master's degree in international studies. And then after that, now, which is what I'm doing right now, is pursuing a EDD, which is a doctorate in educational leadership.
That is awesome. And I don't want to exaggerate how many languages you speak, but is
I
it like
speak 5?
5? I was going to say, I think it's about 5. But it is so incredible. I cannot even wrap my head around speaking 5 languages, but you are so beautiful and so fluent, and you just master language. And I think it's the most brilliant thing. Well, you are going to be mastering motherhood, and it's exciting that you will be
Amen.
mastering motherhood, and I'm excited for you. And as we remember my mom, Ariella, she loved you so much, and she really embraced you as a daughter to her as
It
well.
did.
And I'm talking about mother-daughter relationships a little bit here today.
Mm.
And I think it's so important for people to realize that if you don't have a mother that is a strong, positive presence in your life, look around, because there might just be
True.
another woman that would open their heart and open their home to be that strong mother presence in your life. And like even like a spiritual mom, or just some mom that would sort of want to adopt you in your adulthood and support you. And I know my mom's not the only woman like that. I'm certainly like that as well. And I have many friends that open their arms and just like they're spreading their wings and bringing the little strays that need this of influence of a great mom. So I'm so glad that my mom and you were connected, and I appreciate you calling in today, Ariella, just to honor
Thank
my mom, and
you.
look
For
forward
having
to
what a privilege.
meeting the baby soon. And I
Yay.
know that Isaac is going to have a wonderful home.
You'll hear from me.
Yes, he will have a home of love and peace, because that's the way you'll make it.
Amen.
So God bless you, Ariella. Love you.
Thank you. Love
Okay.
you.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Well, how special it is to just talk with her, a Brazilian daughter. My mom just was able to spend many years in Brazil, and she literally impacted that nation by speaking to well over 4 million people. And as we were beginning to add it up, we thought, wow, it's really probably closer to 5 million people that she has impacted all over the world in her lifetime. And that is not exaggerating. I mean, literally, that is not exaggerating. So it was really interesting as we began to write her obituary and just review what a life well lived she had. And one of my favorite things about my mom is she always shared her clothes with me. And so I've been wearing her. Now, I'm not wearing her clothes today, but I thought it was going to rain. So I grabbed her rain jacket because she just had some great clothes, but she always shared them with me. She was never stingy about that. She always shared whatever she had. And I think that's also something that we can, that we can hold dear to our hearts, that we can learn from. I'm just going to read her obituary that I wrote a few days ago, remembering Deborah Nell Titus. Deborah Nell Titus, beloved wife of Larry Titus for over 58 years and founder of the Home Experience, passed away December 28th, 2022 of endometrial cancer. She was 75 years old. Debbie was with her husband, mother, and daughter when she died peacefully at her home in Grapevine, Texas. It has been said about her, you don't just meet Debbie, you experience her. Debbie was an extraordinary woman of excellence, and to experience her was to love her. Born Deborah Nell Walker to Moffat and Alita Walker on February 12, 1947 in Salinas, California, she lived her life in full expression of the Proverbs 31 woman. The second of two children, Debbie was raised in a Christian home where she was taught the word of God from her parents and grandparents. The importance of living a life of integrity, impeccable character, strong work ethic, practical faith, and selfless devotion to others was modeled for her. At a young age, Debbie accepted Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior. And at the age of 13, she fell in love and dreamed of being the wife of a young minister named Larry Titus. She married him 4 years later, and she devoted herself faithfully and wholeheartedly to serving Jesus at home as a pastor's wife and as a missionary. Debbie Titus was a renowned global conference speaker and author. Her life passion was to restore the dignity and sanctity of the home in the way that men and women think about the home in relationship to the human heart. Using principles from the book of Titus chapter 2, Debbie founded the Mentoring Mansion, and through this program has hosted more than 1,300 women in the Titus home for 4 days. These mentoring intensives launched thousands of home experience groups that are meeting in multiple nations with the purpose to restore love and peace in the home. Her most profound message was the table principle and its importance in creating deeper, more meaningful relationships. Debbie's most well-known quote is, "Home is where the heart is formed." The Home Experience book is her gift to the world and represents her life work. In addition, Debbie authored multiple books that spread her message and are now published in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Portuguese. She spoke to millions of people, changing hearts and impacting families around the world. Debbie was particularly passionate about the nation of Brazil. Debbie founded the award-winning Virtue magazine in 1978. Debbie served on numerous boards and was the former CEO of Kingdom Global Ministries, a nonprofit organization designed to connect and grow people into their life mission. KGM now serves in 40 nations. She is survived by her husband, Larry Titus, her mother, Alita Walker, her brother, Noel Walker, 2 children, Trina Titus Lozano and Aaron Titus, 6 grandchildren, and 12 great-grandchildren. Debbie was a courageous trailblazer, glamorous, sophisticated, and creative. She loved life and lived it to the fullest until the very end. Her final advice to her family 4 days before her heavenly homegoing was, make every day special, and that she did. So that is the life of my mom, and I just think that it's a good day for each of us to remember at the beginning of this new year to make every day special. That can be a goal. It's all about attitude, isn't it? And it's really not about the way you feel, because I guarantee you the last 2 years, she for sure felt like staying in bed, but she didn't. Because why? Because she wanted to make every day special. So she continued to wear beautiful clothes and to fix her hair and to wear jewelry and to wear makeup and to make every day special. And that was her life motto. And I think this is something that you would do good to adapt in your own life. This is a goal. This is an attitude, because we can't help what happens to us, but we certainly can take responsibility, and we must take responsibility for our attitude about what is happening to us, for our attitude about how to go through the ups and downs of life with grace, with a smile, to keep laughing and to keep joy, and to do whatever we can to make every day special. I posted on Instagram earlier today just a funny picture of us all laughing. And as I posted that picture, I just posted a quote to go along with it because I think it's just a really great reminder. Always find a reason to laugh. It may not add years to your life, but it will definitely add life to your years. Scripture in Proverbs says that laughter does good like a medicine. You know, a good attitude and an attitude that has joy and laughter and humor. This is what makes life so worth living. So I encourage you today as you launch into the new year, no matter what circumstance you're facing, even if you're in the midst of grief. Have a great attitude, have fun, smile, laugh, let joy flow from within and spill out all around others. Scatter joy this year. God bless you. Hugs and high fives.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair, the world's lightest wheelchair, is just